Hello everyone, back on the camera again. For today's video I want to read from this book, which is The Heart of the Master. It's one of Crowley's shorter books, but I think it's pertinent to my life at the moment, probably most people's lives in Weymouth. But it comes in three parts. I'm going to read the first part, which is called The Vision. Okay? 1. The Vision. Penumbra. I am one of a concourse. All, or nigh all, seem fallen into heaviness, not from exhaustion of labour, but from lethargy. The plain is vast beyond eye to mark its bounds, even when not all dark with blight of fog and thick with Mayish damp. A few of us are half awake, gaze dumbly on the east. No light responds. Alas for me who am too much alive with the horrible and hopeless ache for sleep of one half drugged, dazed, stupefied. I know not who I am. I know not whence I came. I know not whither I go. Vaguely I say within my dull heart, I must not sleep because I am a soldier. But of what captain, in what war, I cannot guess. There is but a dim shape as of some disaster long, oh, very long ago. The dusty memory of some leader who failed, some plan that broke its spine. I am sure of this, that all discipline is done, all courage quashed, all purpose perished. Behind me, strange, the gloom is less obscure than in the east, to which the eyes yearn feebly. Do I feel it by instinct? The form of a vast pyramidal hill of stark black rock. I am too wary to turn my head to look. All of a sudden, far behind me, far beyond that crest, if it be one, rings out a voice, clear, firm, courageous, confident. It is a soldier's voice, the accent of command, the valour of manhood. None can mistake, I am assured, that ringing call. Truth, victory, and each trumpet tone. Listen. Vox. The captain cries, Behold the star in the west. Instant on that comes silence. But among us the sudden stirring warns me that not all were sleeping, that there were watchers like myself, men more intent than I. I hear a murmur on my left. I catch three words. The 0 hour. They call me back to myself. I know now that I am one of a great army, an army baffled and broken, but yet in being. Sharp comes a whisper of swift absolute authority. 0 is 2. Somehow I am aware, like a man stricken of lightning, in the same moment slain and initiated, that the strange phrase declares a final mystery of truth, the word of the plan of battle, the key of the campaign. But in my mind its meaning is most utter darkness. Again the solemn stillness. Few were they who had heard the voice of the young captain, for the sleep of all, but the youngest and strongest was the sleep of death. Even of these the fate was ill indeed, for their minds had been distraught by the bitterness of their hearts. So when they noted the voice, they mocked. I heard, A star in the west, what folly? Or, That is no voice of any leader of ours. Or, Star in the west, beware, that is the star called Wormwood. Then presently from the blind land behind the mountain comes one heavy groan, then the sound of a fall, made vile by a titter of malignant tinkling laughter. There follow ghoulish wailings. The mystery, the evil darkness of these incoherent cries sets my teeth on edge with horror. and yet I cannot give up the hope which thrilled me at the voice. But so keen, so desolate, so deadly is the pain of my spirit that blank darkness overwhelms me altogether. Umbra. Within the vision is a dream. I struggle in my sleep in the morass of blood and mud, howlings more bestial than hell's, stench at whose touch solid as putrid flesh itself. I retch with the pangs of death, most frantic madness, phantoms of crime, ice cold, ghosts made of murder. The nightmare seems interminable. No, it exhausts itself, sick with its own foulness, and sinks into a solid stupor. Phantasma. I waken from the horror. Every nerve is numb, every muscle frozen, every bone one ache, my blood throbbing with poison. But the shambles is now dimly to be seen. What? Can the voice have spoken truth after all? Is then that star a sun, whose light is at last piercing the foul mists of massacre, whose heat is forcing the congealed miasma to steam skyward in those murky banks of dim grey cloud? Hark! Yes, the few that are still alive have seen what rouses them to lift their crippled arms, to stare with blear, bloodshot eyes, to jabber with broken jawbones and torn tongues. For Christ's sake, screams an emasculate rag of flesh, don't look at that damned star. We're lost, another squeals. The beast, yells a third. Maniac. I too am appalled not a little, for on the moving fumes crawl monstrous and hideous shapes, frightful forms, detestable gestures, all past belief, a loathsomeness, filling my mortal spirit with delirious fear. Beholding them, the wounded writhe in deadly anguish. Some crazily catch up the filth in which they are already half sunk, to throw it at the spectres, thereby only to smear themselves more thickly in the face. Their impotent malice so exceeds itself that I am moved for a moment to laugh. At that, as at the master spell of a great sage, the charm is snapped. I soar into sanity. I must be simple indeed. How did I fail for a moment to understand the broken spectres? Must be shadows cast by some star, a sun, upon sun-lifted vapours. That all these diverse shapes of madness are but distortions of one form upon the mountain crest, a solitary shadow, the shadow of a man. Looks. I stood erect. I found myself unhurt. I turned. I lifted up mine eyes. Behold, the hill. The apex of the colossal pyramid is crowned by a stern, silent figure, cut in sharp silhouette against the orb of the sun. I cried aloud, Hail unto thee, O star that art the sun, star that mountest the height of the heavens. But my heart answered me mysteriously, yet so that it availed me to understand it. He riseth not nor sets, he goeth shining on his way, and before him the earth reeleth in the rhythm of her bacchanal dance. Then knew I also this, all these poor dead men that lay about me have been slain by their own fear, their fault of faith in deeming that the sun, or any star, could die. And now I, who had only felt the fear of that fatigue, feel the fascination. I understand that he, whoever, whatever he may be, is he for whom we all so long had waited. As I fix my eyes upon it, I become aware that its blackness against the light of the star is only relative, and as I gain confidence in my sight, that darkness goes. The figure is a prism of pure crystal. It is the distortion and interference with the light it transmits which cause those phantoms of terror to dance their witches' sabbath on the moving miasma. And now I am drawn swiftly up by some invisible force, sucked up by some vortex toward the hill. And now I face him as he stands above me. Homo. His head is slightly bowed, as if he brooded some delight. He wears a helm of ruddy gold, radiant with the light of the star. In the midst of his brows is a black diamond, in a circlet of ruby and emerald, set in pure mother of pearl, so that it seems the eye of some unknown, some unknowable god. This eye has no lid, but his two human eyes are still half closed, as if in worship or in wonder of rapture. His arms are folded on his breast. Upon his corselet is the golden image of the sun. In his right hand is a rod of amber, crowned with a ruby. In his left an amethyst lotus with a sapphire corolla. Lo, from his eyes flow tears of mingled sorrow and joy, of joy that burns up sorrow, and with these tears he smites the barren rock beneath his feet. It melts like wax at the touch. Roses spring up and twine about his limbs. Around him are four living creatures, begotten of his will, so that the mountain might glow with the life that flows through him. There is a tawny lion, from whose mouth drops honey. He roars aloud, and the word thereof is this: the wrath of the master is the energy of love. There is a buffalo cow, grey-blue, whose udders overflow with milk, and her lowing means, the work of the master is the nourishment of life. There is a babe that with his tiny hands presses out the blood from his own breast, and smileth. The way of the master is the innocence of liberty. Also a golden eagle, bearing a chalice of wine, crying aloud, the woe of the master is the rapture of light. Last in their midst, above his head, there rolls a wheel of many-coloured radiance, so that thereby all deeds are harmonized in one. And the whirring of the wheel declares, the wisdom of the master is the justice of time. Attend to the will of the master. And this there cometh forth from the heart of the wheel, a serpent with the head of a sphinx, and toucheth the mouth of the master, so that his voice breaks into song. The word of the law is Thelema. Then is all heaven aflame with a great blast of trumpets, and the world is alight with one flash, that sundereth every spirit that liveth, branding this sign upon them: do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Now the whole air is filled by the voices of birds, a swan, a phoenix, a raven, an eagle, a hawk, a pelican, a dove, an ibis, and a vulture. In his turn each one sang praises, even as it was given unto him to understand one part of the spirit of the master. The voice of the swan, ow, through the bornness, through the eternal, the thoughts of the master goeth afloat in the ether. The voice of the phoenix, El, not to be burned, not to be quenched. The soul of the master bathes in the fire of nature and is refreshed. The voice of the raven, Amen. The past and the future are parts of the present. In the eye of the master, that seeth the secret of secrets, and knoweth them all to be one. The voice of the eagle, Su. The heavens are poised on the plumes of the righteous, and wingeth among them, beholding the sun. Thus know ye the mercy and joy of the Master. The voice of the hawk, Aguilar. By thine energy riseth all motion of will of the Master, begetter, destroyer. The voice of the pelican, Iao. All that liveth is blood of the heart of the Master. The stars are at feast on that pasture, abiding in light. The voice of the dove, Heriliu. There is nothing too small, or too great, or too low, or too high, but all things are joined into joy by the love of the Master. The voice of the ibis, Abrahadabra. All ways are alike, being endless, eternally coiling in curves of ineffable wonder. Each star has its course, by the manifold musings that move in the mind of the Master. The voice of the vulture, Mu. Unmated, immaculate, consecrate, virgin, all things are begotten of the breath of the Master, and born of the infinite space wherein doth he give them their form, and abideth in silence. Now all is as it were a passion of great peace, and in the stillness I lift up my soul like an offering, and cry in mine heart, let me dwell at the feet of the Master. But the silence swallows up those vain words, and they are smitten through with the fire of his blood, that transforms them to these. At his feet is only the earth, and that he breaks up into flowers. But all things that live are assumed to the heart of the Master. With that I cease to be myself at all. I am absorbed into his adorable essence, and my life is equally shed throughout the endless eons of creation. There is nothing separate any more at all, wherefore the vision faileth, the seer being one with the scene.